Yeah, fully. I'm a little, I was nervous about this one because we don't usually like speak in the audience of the show that I do. Okay, I'm Renil Abraham. I host a talk show. The one that's going on right now is called Buy It, Why Don't You Season 2. I'm a producer with the Times Network. I used to review earlier, then I stopped it because they weren't coming on my show after I said bad things about them in my review. So I stopped it for relationships now. But you know this topic which is called Show Must Go On, it's very associated with entertainment especially, right? But if you think of it sort of associated with all of our lives, this is a college scenario, a situation, lots of students here. How many of you are here or doing a particular course because that's the right thing to do at this point in time and not because that's, and because, what do you say? And probably because you should probably do this now and then later we'll pursue passion. What is it? No, but teachers won't say anything, it's fine. Parents are here. Parents are also here. It's okay. Parents, shut your eyes, let the children speak. No hands, nothing. One. See, I'm proud of this person. Is that a parent? A student? I can't see. Lights are glaring on my face. Okay, but what do you want to do later? What is the passion? That's fab. That's fab. What are you studying now? It's okay. I hope you find peace at some point. But you know, it's one of those things. Do you have engineering here? No. My mother would have been very happy if I at least stepped foot in one college that had engineering, you know. She's been praying for it for ages. But then I come from Kerala. It's one of those end parts of South India. My mum is a doctor. My dad is an engineer. And it's one of those very academically oriented Kerala families. So I was supposed to, and I'm the oldest one in the family and also the biggest black sheep among the relatives. So I was sort of expected from the beginning to be, and to top it all, I studied very well. So my mum obviously gave me the options of being an engineer or a doctor, and I said no. And in school, I was also in like all sorts of cultural activities and stuff like that. My mum, I think she's an unusual person with like different capabilities. And I used to be like always first or second in class always. Even then my mother would physically go to school, like leave her practice as a doctor and be like, today I will go to Renil school and have this conversation. But she'll catch hold of my teachers and be like, don't let him do extracurricular activities. Let him focus on studying. And my teachers, who were actually very proud of me, would be like, that kid has 96%. And then my mother would be like, let him get the other 4, you know. But then my teachers used to be like, you know, he's fine. Let him do. Did it go for a second? No. Let him do what he wants. From then, the fight sort of went on to taking arts in 11th and 12th, which is when I met relatives I had never heard of. Because I got calls saying, because I wanted to do psychology, which is why I moved to a different school that psychology is a part of the humanities program. And I got calls from relatives saying, Renil, arts is something that you do when you don't get anything else, at least commerce, you know. And I was like, but I really want to do this program. Then I went to the college. In my 12th grade, I came out with the first rank in school. It's in one of those wooden boards in school. My name's written and all of that. It's very nice. My mother was very proud that day. And then she realized there's something called IIT for humanities. And she was like, yes, this is the next thing to do. Because she's found 2 courses. One is economics and the other one is literature. Both I don't want. And what is that thing called? JEE or something like that. No? Some 7, 8 E's are there in the end of this. And then she made me apply and I was like, but I want to study psychology. So I went and applied for a program in Christ, which is in Bangalore, which I'm telling you, don't let it deceive by its name. It is torturous, that university. But anyway, but then I thought it was fun and all because my parents, my dad's family friends or something like that, unknown people, they had friends who went to Christ in the yesteryears apparently, where they heard that Christ is a college where people are sitting in the road and smoking ganja. And I didn't drink or smoke, none of that then. I was like, but seems fun because I've always stayed at home. And meanwhile, I went to Christ, got my admission. After that comes the JEE 7, 8E exam. And I went and I literally drew patterns on that MCQ thingy on the computer and came like this zigzag. And I went and told my mother that I'm not going to get through because I've made patterns and come. And she's like, no, my son will get it. She took my exam card and put it in the puja room. And like as though like Jesus will put. Then obviously the result came, I didn't get through. And my mother was in silence. She was like, oh, how can this happen with my son? Then I went to Bangalore. And I think it was all of this where sort of figuring out that I think we probably, all of us, been at one of these points, right? Because I think in India, we live in a family system where not everything is about following the dream. Like, we watch so much content, at your age, especially with internet and Netflix and Amazon, there are so many shows that we see which is about following the passion and being the rebel and all of that. But it's not very easy when you sort of try and explain Elite or 13 Reasons Why to your parents. They'd be like, what are you talking about? But then, it's sort of that some kind of fire in your mind that sort of keeps the show going. So I came to Bangalore, finished my undergraduation, and then I was supposed to do my master's in psychology in Vancouver. Then I found something called internships. So I told them, I will take a year break now. And then, I think my mother fainted at this point. She was like, what will you do? Who will give you internship? And I got one internship in Bangalore, moved back. Meanwhile, I got an internship with Viacom, came to Bombay. It was a struggle for 4 months because my parents didn't know I was in Bombay. My number was from Bangalore. So if they called and I didn't pick up, it speak in Kannada. I still don't understand the language. It still speaks in Kannada. You can try calling. So then I was here 4 months, didn't have money only. But then I think Bombay has I refuse to call it Mumbai because I think Bombay is more of an emotion than this word Mumbai. However anglicized it is, I understand the concerns. But I think the day I came to Mumbai, I had one of those experiences where, have you been to Bangalore? Anybody? Yeah? Okay. Have you gone in a rickshaw in Bangalore? Yeah? Have they ripped you off? Yeah? Has it happened? The first time I had to take one U-turn. That's all I had to do. You could also there's a mall called Forum. You know this? Okay, you can literally walk across the mall. There are 2 entrances. I didn't know this. I took a U-turn in rickshaw. He told me 200 rupees. And especially when they know that you don't know the language, they rip you off more. So I learned Kannada. Now I can I think from 1 to 1,000 I can say. Don't quiz me, but we'll do this later. It's been a few years. But I came to Bombay, and also in Bangalore, there's a system where during the day, if it's 22 rupees is the minimum, whatever. I'm digressing, but quickly, it's fun only. But if you give them 25, they'll be done. Nothing now. You've given 25, over. And after 4, it becomes, they call it 1.5, which is whatever the meter is and half of it more. And after 10, then becomes double. So whatever is in the meter, double of that. Now after 12, they say whatever. Because this was also the time when I was in Bangalore, there was no Uber, Ola and all of that. So there is no other way to go home. So first, if you reject someone who said 300 rupees, you go to the next one, he'll say 400. And by the time you come back, the first one will be 450. Then they never could take me home. But the first day in Bombay, I took a rickshaw. I think the minimum was 20 or something. I gave him 30, and he gave me 10 rupees back. And I was like, this is the city I have to be in. I cannot go from here. So I stayed back, and I was interning at Viacom. I was in the HR department, but I was in the talent engagement team. So basically throwing parties for the employees of Viacom. But it was fun. So Colors Infinity as a channel at that point in time was just growing, and they were starting, and they were looking at original content for the channel. And I remember meeting the head of original content at Colors Infinity for some he was doing a chai sutta break, and I was only having chai at that point in time. Sutta came much later in life, when tension and all grew. So I went there, and he was thinking about making a talk show, and I was and I was so new. I was what would it take for me to host something like this? And his first line was, become a star and come back. And I thought, that's rude. And then he was like, no, I'll explain. And he explained it, saying, when I get a host, the host brings in all of these guests who are actors or whatever. Who will you bring? And I said, nobody. I'll bring you. And then he was like, yeah. So grow and get to a point where you can bring in people. And I think this become a star and come back was one of the biggest things that sort of drove me into keeping the show going, you know. And like I remember the internship got over, I didn't get a job for like a couple of months because all the jobs in everywhere needed 3 years of experience. And I had 4 months of internship. And I was like, if you don't give me a job, then how will I get 3 years of experience? And I finally got it in some social media position. Then I made my show. I was very chalu at that point in time. And I think it's one of those things where sometimes if you really like work hard, I really believe that there are 3 things that sort of goes into making the show go on. One, I think, which is the foundation, I think is talent. The second one is like a ton of hard work. And third one, I don't believe in the word luck. It's sort of used very loosely. I call it being at the right place at the right time, which could be called luck also. But then I think that being at the right place at the right time comes through talent and hard work, you know. I don't think you can sit at home and be like, oh my God, I will be at the right place at the right time. The universe will make it happen. But like if you don't work hard, I don't think you'll ever be there. One of the other things that sort of was mentioned in the show must go on situation was your work sort of being in the public eye a lot, right? And I think a lot of I'm sure like the teachers and the parents here might not understand because most of them believe in if someone says something wrong, no, just drink some water and get on with your life. But then I don't think my generation, which is like sort of, I'm 94 born, believe me, trust me. Aadhaar card and all, I'll show you. People think I'm older, but I'm 27 years old. So I think I'm one of those end of the millennial situation, and then Gen Z has come right after. So I'm in one of those like mixed pools. Some Gen Y or something, there is some leather there. So, but I really want to be Gen Z, which is why I do these like, you know, college things and all. They really like me there. So, I think the generation towards the end of millennials and the next one, I think because there's a lot of access to information and there's social media and you post a lot and you interact with people, I think we are a lot more sensitive than the older generation used to be because I don't think they had to care about these things. They were like, we have so many things to do. We have to cross oceans and climb mountains to reach our school that we can't care about emotions right now. They had to walk 10 kilometers to get to their school. So, and I think it's very legit that it's I think 1,000 times extra when it comes to being a public figure and have a job in entertainment where you're sort of putting your work out every day and for people to judge. And I can't stand here and be like, no, but I don't want to be judged because I want those nice comments also, you know. So I understand a lot of this and I hope you understand also because all of you are on social media, right? Instagram? How many of you are public? Oh, quite a few. You are post regularly with filters. Just shut up. Who has said without filters? Huh? How many filters do you said without filters? I'll see your Instagram now. I'm sure there'll be like 83 filters saved. I have 300. That's different. But I think we all sort of, even when we are trying to put like the best version of ourselves forward, slapping on 73 filters and 7 apps, I swear it takes me 45 minutes to, you know, like color correct and like edit one picture. See, it's very visible. I joke about it also, so because I'm very honest. But even while doing that, there are so many people. How many of you have gotten hate comments, like from random people? There, one. Yeah? And how many of you have gotten like, and this is not just girls and guys both. How many of you have gotten like unsolicited pictures and DMs in your DM? Oh my God. See, I don't think, what, do you know unsolicited pictures? Huh? Have you gotten it? Have you had to deal with this? No. But see, I think it's a part of this generation where we're sort of learning to deal with this, but we don't know. But it is a big issue because it can be very sensitive, but a lot of people don't really understand it because there's a big generational gap, right? But it's worse when like with the industry, with Bollywood or like any filmmaking industry or any entertainment sector for that matter, when you sort of get to that point where anything and every move of you is being judged, it's not very fun to do things sometimes, you know. I've sort of learned to be, from when I started, I was called, what is that? Sasta Karan Johar. Then I was called, you know this meme called light or what? like you put like biryani and pulao and say biryani and biryani light. Yeah. So they used to put Karan and then mine and be like Karan and Karan light. So stuff like this they used to do. There was one, my favorite is Renil is what you get when you order Karan Johar on Amazon. I really like that. I enjoyed it too much. But, you know, it's so funny where it went on for years. When I was just being chill, I said nothing. Apparently, two people who are gay, who does talk shows, are the same. Now, after that, during the lockdown, I discovered love for makeup. So I started doing my eyes. And then they were like, oh, this is different. So not that anymore. And then also, Karan went through a lot of problems during the lockdown, yeah. So they were like, oh, this is better than that. So now we love you. So it is one of those fickle spaces where on a daily basis, not that I didn't use that to my advantage, I was like, yes, I am better. I am, I swear. Thank you. So it is one of those fickle spaces, and I don't think it's just the industry, I think it's all of us, and I don't think it's very easy to sort of go through and navigate the space. We don't know it all, because every new day there is something new that's coming up and we have to learn to deal with it. And you know, having made fun of the older people here, I think they're also trying to deal with this with us, you know, because I think while it's new for us, I think it's new for them also, and I don't think they understand a lot of the stuff that we go through and you guys go through, because we are violent as a generation. We go crazy. It's cray-cray, whatever. So I think like a balance is, would be nice. But I'm very proud of all of you. I think at some or the other point in life, we're all fighting to do better and to sort of achieve something. Sometimes we don't know what it is. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you figure out later. Sometimes you figured it out already, but then you don't succeed. But then we keep fighting anyway, because like somebody said, I don't know who said this, but the show must go on, apparently. Let it go on. Thank you. Thank you.